Okay, g'day traders. How you going there, Nathan? Hope you're doing well, mate. Hope everyone else is doing well as well. Welcome to TradeSetup in the live stream for the 29th of May. So getting close to the end of the month and also the end of the financial year. So everyone's going to be starting to get busy, I'm guessing. Like myself, just getting myself organised for tax time. Now, not much happened on Friday night in the US session. It was pretty much flat, so I think it was just oscillating around break even most of the session there. And they've got a night off tonight, so anyone that's trades the US, you just remember that the US is actually closed tonight. They'll have the electronic session open, but I don't expect much is going to happen at all. You'll get some action, bit of action in the US, but the big leader, sorry, a bit of action in Europe, but the big leader being the US is they won't be online tonight. I think they're back tomorrow. I think it's just a 1 day off, and I can't remember what holiday it's for as well. If anyone remembers that, just let me know. Excuse me. I've still got a bit of a cold hanging around. Tried going for a run this morning, which wasn't too bad actually, all in all, but I don't know if it's maybe worse or better. Hopefully it's getting a bit better, getting rid of it. Now, anyone that's new to this stream, you can join us on Twitter. You can see in the top left corner, Facebook, the top right corner, or subscribe to us on YouTube, the bottom right corner. And just remembering, like we say each time, we don't give any specific advice or personal advice. It's just all general advice. So we don't take anyone into account, anyone's circumstances. These are just our own opinions that we formed in the market. So let's get into it. What we'll do today, it's like I said, I don't expect a lot of action going into the close. I would have expected what we've seen today is probably, I wouldn't be surprised if that's going to be the most of it for today, being that the US is closed out tonight. But we'll see how it goes. Let me just close that down. Let's just get up a chart, and I'll change over so you can see my handsome face there. I've even done my hair for you. There we go. No, that didn't work. That might work. And I'll get rid of that. There we go. So we can see some charts up there. So the market's dropped about 20 points. I think it was hovering around break even. It's just dropped. It dropped on the open. And we'll take that at Memorial Day. That's the one. Thanks, Dave. So the market's popped down on the open. We'll look at the 30-minute chart in a minute, just the intraday chart, just to see sort of what's happening. Get another picture on that. Just look at the daily also. We'll go and look at what's happening around the markets over in the US, the FTSE, just the major indices, see what they're doing compared to us. We seem to be on the downward move, whereas they're holding highs at the moment. So whether we are preempting, something which we tend to do a bit, try to preempt something that doesn't end up happening and then bounce again. But we'll see if that's a bit of the case. We may just be in a bit of a pullback like we've spoken about a few times in the past. Now, where was I? Yeah, so the market's opened down. Well, it's not opened down. It's tested the lows. You can see it on the CFD. We'll just go across there now. You can see it just popped down in the open, and then when the ASX is finished open, it was just up pretty much around break even. It was around that mark, and then it's just rolled over the last 20 minutes or so. I say, last half an hour, dropped down about 20 to 30 points. Which you can see on the ASX. We'll see the intraday. There you go. You can see that in the 5 minutes open down. It's just testing its lows now, so we'll just have to see if that can continue on below. Take out these lows and take out some new lows. See where it's heading. So it's heading towards that 5,700 mark on the daily, which is only 26 points away at the moment. Whether it can pop its head through there, and then you've got a support zone. It's 56.75, which is touched on a few times previously back in start of March, and then again towards mid to end of March. Just in here, and that found a little support. So it's a good little support zone. We'll see if we can hold up that high low just above 57. So there's a few things to play out now for the bulls. It's got to do a bit of work. It's got to start holding, if we can, hold a bit of a higher low in here and then start pushing up. But you can see that price action just below the MAs at the moment. So we are in a bit of contraction after that higher low just above 5,900. Which, if positive market, should have expected to blow through those highs and work its way up to 6,000, but it couldn't. It was just struggling. And if we just drill down on that, you can see that's a minor higher high as opposed to that at 5,900, the previous one. Just in here, a little higher high, couldn't go on with it. had the pullback, tried to go again, and that should have gone up. It's a nice positive market, but instead we made that lower high. And like we see, many times, it's got to take out the most recent high or low, which it's just attacked and pretty much punched through that to 58, and just trading down towards that 57, was it 56.75 zone to 5700. So it looks like we could have a bit of a shoulder trade there. We'll just have to see how it plays out. If we can get a few buy in the next couple of days, we're not going to get any lead tonight, so we might find that it's either quiet into the close today, or it could just quiet and be a fairly quiet session tomorrow, because there's no lead from the US. But we'll see how that plays out. So we've quickly gone over that. Let's take a look at the other indices. I've got them here. The Dow, again, it's still hanging around those highs. It's not punching through, but this structure looks quite nice off this, essentially a double bottom with it, even with a bit of a washout. Pushed back up to the highs, held the highs. That move down was just a major high or low, and was rejected quite nicely, and that kicked on back up to the highs. So trading it, but just struggling. You can see it's getting a bit extended up there, but there's no reason why it can't punch its way through and head higher. That's probably a bit better view. Now, what else? We've got the S&P. That's into new highs. Same type of price action. We see it over the last 6 months. Same type of price action. Excuse me. But we've just punched in the last few days, punched into to new highs. So it's still looking quite positive. Whether or not our market's just reacting to a bit of a stretch market, stretch valuations too in the US. So there's a few things that they all do potentially signs that it could be a bit of profit taking. I read an article just I don't know, it was just early this morning or yesterday about the old funds sell in May and go away. There's a bit of what some of the funds are doing in the US. They're just locking in because they've had such a good run the last financial year, I guess, and they've done quite well in the US on the S&P and the Dow, and that they're just kicking higher. That they're just locking away some gains. But this S&P, like we've spoken about many times before, it just keeps grinding high. You've got, we know that there's still quite a few short positions that are built up on it, on say the E-mini, for instance, and they just keep getting washed out. So people are not just trying now to short the market, but they've been trying for a long time and just been getting washed out and washed out and washed out. So that's just that's happening time and time again. You can see if you take a better look at, we just get that price structure. These sort of pullbacks here and then a sudden turnaround, consolidation here. That people will be shorting in here and it breaks to new highs. People will be selling it in here, say, okay, this is the time it's going to roll over, it's going to be a good one, and then bang to new highs again. So the trend is still higher. And it doesn't matter that, you can see back here, it doesn't matter that it's getting extended. It may just mean that we, back here it was getting a bit extended, a bit of a blowout just on that candle there, and then we consolidated. It just made some lower highs, just contracted lower, but still held a higher low around that 23.25 mark, and that's led to higher prices. So this could just keep grinding high and keep washing people out. Anyone that's jumping in trying to sell it, short the market, and just keep grinding them back out again. So there's no reason why it can't do that. And look at the FTSE. The FTSE, just Friday's action. If you just go back to that previous Friday's action, just broke into new highs, which looks great. Let's just go back to some more data. That price action, no one can argue that's trending higher. Just get a bit of a weekly chart. Had a good, 2015? Good pullback, rejection around here, rejection up at 58, and that's led to some nice strong move higher. So that could have quite a bit to go. We'll just have to see what happens on the FTSE. They've got elections coming up, and I think what did they say? May was obviously expected to win. Coming into the polls, she was expected to win, but I think it's got a bit closer. So it led the pound to get banged around a bit, sold off again on Friday. But generally, a sell-off in the pound is associated with a rally in the index, in the markets, equities anyway. So that's what's happened on Friday. So if that gets a bit closer, it might get a bit tighter on the polls, and then we might still get that really a good strong kick up in the FTSE. But either way, that price action is looking great. That's nice. What else? We got the DAX. We'll take a quick look at the DAX. Again, that's grinding high. It's holding higher lows on a daily. The weekly, it's busted into new highs. broke out through the 2015 highs, early 2015, after major. But this price action, generally, it's spent quite a bit of time, pretty much a good part of a year, contracting lower, holding some higher lows, and then, say, middle of last year, it started edging its way higher. And so that, that could have quite a bit to go on it if you just try to take a measured move. I mean, on the weekly chart, there's probably not much to go from. But just have to keep an eye on that. That's looking great. All the major indices are really grinding higher, which is a good thing to see. Now, let's just go over some of the stocks we've got. We see they're all going higher, those major indices, but we're the one that's not. But we're just sort of consolidating those highs or just contracting off those highs at 59.50. But just seem to be struggling below that 6,000 mark at the moment. Anyone else got a good opinion on the what's happening on the indexes, or what are your thoughts, your views? Feel free to share them in the chat. But I think this is just the way. I mean, the reason why we especially when markets are pulling back, you really just want to focus in on what's happening in the overall market, especially with. I think it's always important. You can probably notice it every time we talk, and just of late, especially talking about what's happening in the overall markets, the overall indices, just because of where we are and sort of the overall picture, the global picture as well. Because when our market's consolidated, that's obviously it's in a bit of a pullback. We're making lower high in here, push down. We potentially got another lower high. Aiming for those this little 57 mark here. We may wash that out and bounce back. Who knows? But just for any sort of new positions, you want to. It's at that stage you've got to put that into context of what's happening overall and what's happening in the global markets as well. The global markets look quite good. They are potentially extended, so we're getting to that period where market it may find a bit of selling, a bit of profit taking come in. Yeah, true. I think it's a bit of that there, Nathan. A bit seasonal too. So people just like to live by that. Selling may go away, but like I was saying, just it's always important just to have an overall view on what's happening. If you were trading in here, like when we were looking at that, if anyone remembers back then when we got this major off a weekly, it's probably clearer. Let me just drill. Well, I just want to drill in on that. Here. So if anyone was... I'm just going to draw it up. Might be a bit easier. If anyone remembers when we were talking about it just in here, so what we've had, we know that this market was heading high. Now, this was over the election. We have a major lower high in place here, but this was the anchor or the key that moved for this little spike higher. Sorry. This little push higher, that was pretty much the key level. Now, even with a lower high, you know that you're still holding above. At that stage, we're still holding above that key level of 50.50. And the market's just touched down there over the elections and then pretty much rallied off that. So that was a really strong level. So when we go back to the daily. So when we were looking at it at this stage, that was just beautiful, Good double bottom there. It held that key level at 50.50, even with a lower high. So that's washed out a lot of traders. Really got bearish at that stage, but it really hadn't broken that weekly uptrend. It was still holding quite nicely. So when you get this little price action and the market pops up through the high, you know that potentially this is going to support a nice strong move higher, which it did. It got all the way to 59.50. So trading it at that stage with the context of what's happening on the ASX plus what's happening in the global market, it's a good solid base or foundation really to start jumping into some stocks and really being a bit more aggressive on individual stocks. And you could probably get away with trading, not as stronger setups, potentially as what you have to trade now. Because the overall market's, it's going to get a bit more positive. It's just things are a lot easier, I guess. I wouldn't say they're easy, but if you know what I mean, you just got the overall market working in your favour, whereas what we're seeing here, it's just in context of what's happened. We've got extended from this move. We've had a good move up, bit of a corrective move lower down to 56. You're starting to struggle up here, pushed into new highs at 59.50. And this is all in context of some major highs at 6,000. We're really getting a bit long in the tooth here. And a lot of people know that. A lot of people know there's a key level at 6,000. So the market, even though it hasn't broken, really, the market's still moving higher. You just got to take note of what the current environment is, I guess, what the current price action is saying to you. And just really, if you're going to jump into some stocks, jump into some really quality setups, because there's no reason why, some of the good ones will just go anyway, even if the market's tipping over. Like we've got a few that's ticked off today. Actually, one that's ticked off today that's going quite nicely. SHL? No, it's just dropped off, has it? Is that it? Yeah, so that actually kicked off at 2280. We had the entry for. We've got 84 on the open. It's pushed up to 2300. So I think that's looking quite good. Nice strong setup. If you go to a weekly, you can see this price action. Just took out the high, had a pullback. Busted through 20, but got rejected and held a higher low around that 21. Spent a lot of time doing it. So that little curving, you can see that's the price action we love to see. Has anyone got into this one? Does anyone see that alert that actually gets the alerts through? Is following it on the app? I really like that price action. You can see this little curving base. You can see these high lows are holding. It wasn't a lot of time spent doing this. Start of 2016, but it was off a nice little contraction, a pullback, I guess, on the longer term basis, and that led to a nice leg higher. So if we can get something here that's just going to lead to a nice, spike higher. And if you go into the daily chart, we're well oversold just here at this higher low. So it's looking quite good. I really like that entry. Risk is quite minimal, and that could easily pump up through 23, even 24, those highs, and really start to accelerate. We'll have to see how that goes. But that, I feel, is a good quality setup. We've got MND, which I think is that's a good quality setup too. So it's worthwhile just keeping in mind, when you're looking at things, try to be a little bit less aggressive. There's always times to be aggressive and times just to play it a bit more safer. Well, I do anyway. That's why I like to take things. Up until we start getting, on the ASX, if we can start getting that, let's just get off the weekly, a bit of a higher low, some buyers stepping in above 57, potentially right where we are now. If we can hold that as a higher low and start working our way back up towards 58, maybe take the next few days, next week, then that's going to be quite nice. And I think that's a nice little, we're coming out of contraction, especially if we pop up through 58. Push up through 58, that's going to be a nice little sign that we are going to hold. But like I said, until that happens, I guess just be on the defensive more than anything else. What are your thoughts there, guys? So I just take a sip of the coffee. Now, let me go through. Can't think of anything else. We've got AFY. Had a nice little news announcement today, but it's pretty much not doing too much. I think we're at 250, if I'm right, or maybe not. 255 and that. So it's traded about where we entered. So just hopefully that can see that kick on a bit. The weekly chart looks quite good. It's pulled back, had a little wash out of 2, off a lower high, washed out that. So if you thought that was negative, that should have gone down. You would have expected it, that reaction to be a bit lower, but it only pretty much popped through that $2 level and then come back and washed out that lower high just in here around 230. So that still looking quite good to me. We just need to start seeing a move higher through that, through these previous highs, say 265 to 270. What else do we have? Just trying to think of what else we got at the moment. So there's not OGC. Yeah, that's kicked on. That's up for us today. Still looking good. That price structure on the weekly, again, it's that nice price action. You're holding these higher lows up. It looks really good, especially if we push up through 475. If we start getting that acceleration up through another 20 cents up, really start accelerating to this little high here, even though it was a massive rejection candle, something may have happened there. Either way, say 460 to 70, if we start accelerating up through there, it's going to look quite positive. I think that's going to drag in some more buyers if they chase it back up. And we'll take a look at gold, actually. Physical gold. What's everyone else's view on gold? There's looking at gold stocks. Has anyone been following the gold stocks of late? Well, we have, and they're starting to show some good signs. If we just get up, let's get on to it. We'll just quickly take a look at the spot gold. Now, this is a daily chart. Let's draw these things up. So, that's not necessarily a key level. We had, I'm just trying to get my bearings at the moment. So you got some of these levels. It's pushed down, pushed down. We've got a key level down here. It's reacted off there, especially after we took out this little lower high. This is daily, by the way, guys, and it's worked all the way back up to that 1384. You can see now, whether you take you can see that support, it's touched there a few times. So really, it's just contracting in on itself at the moment on a daily basis. Between these sort of key zones at 1387 or 1390 down to say 1055. So whether we're going to hold lower highs and we start rolling over, it is a bit extended on the daily to the upside. So that doesn't mean too much. It means it could just pop down to support, and we may still see a bit of contraction as it pops down and just sort of oscillates between this sort of support level that's coming through here. It may be somewhere around 1277, 75 now, and somewhere around that 1225, 26, 27 mark. It could just oscillate between that and then break out. So come off a overextended level to the downside, still holding a higher low, and then pop up. But the key really, if we start breaking up, this is what's going to be a key for us. If we start pushing up and tagging that 1294, then my bets are to the upside, and we're going to start holding this major high low here, and all these little high lows, and start pushing up to the upside. And that should, if we break up through here, we may have to pull back, build another high low, and that may take us up to 1384 to these highs. But really, the market's moved down. It's reacted up quite strong all the way up to here, pushed down. So if we can get this confirmation, this is a major high low at 1127. Then I think gold's got a lot of legs, and then it could easily push up to, like I said, 1385 through that, and just keep going on with it. No, I was just trying to figure out. I got a phone call through, and I don't know exactly who that is, but anyway. Yeah, so keep an eye on gold there. Has anyone got some gold stocks on the radar at the moment? The ones we look at, let me just get that. I'll just get those up. Gold. Before I get into it, just a weekly, you can see this is we followed this in the past, DCN. DCN, which had a nice strong move out through 2016, backed off with some lower lows, lower highs, all the way back down. But you can see it's had two good moves down. So right off the highs at 380. Yeah, well, that's probably not best. So if the highs at that 380 mark, had a nice push down to about $1.80, reacted off there, built a lower high, and had its secondary move down, took out this $1.80, but not convincing. So we want to see this start to hold up now and see what it looks like on the daily. On the daily, it's still got some work to do, but it potentially could be just start to build that base. We're not getting to push through those lows with any significant moves. So that's starting to show some good signs. Saracen, that's the opposite. That big move down, it's reacted up, and it's had another push down to the lows. It couldn't get there. It popped back up, found some resistance at $1.10. Tried to go down again, but just washing out the previous lows, just in here around 91, 92. And it's just popped back up and retested $1.10. So if this holds a higher low above 90, say 95 to 100, it may work its way down there. Then that's showing some really good signs. If you go to the weekly, that could easily push up through $1.10. Then we've got a major higher low at, it was about that 88 zone. Was it 88? 80, is it? No, it's about 88, sorry. Major high low about that 88 mark, and if that could take us up, then we could be heading towards $1.30. May react off there, build another major high low, and then go. So there is potential for these to really start, and they're starting to show some good signs. It may be early stages yet, but I think gold's really worth having on the radar. What else got? NST, was it Northern Star? Yeah, similar. That's reacted a bit different. It's pushed all the way down, reacted quite strong off 3, and I don't like that so much as some of the others, but it's looking good. Now that's still going in the right direction lately. SPN a bit the same, the way it's pushed down and it's reacted quite hard off it, and it's just getting those higher lows holding. Oz is slightly different. That looks quite good. You can see that spent quite a bit of time basing out through there. It's popped up to 10, had a good reaction off 10, but still, it's below the MAs, but the MAs are still up, if that makes sense. So we could easily, pop back up, build a high low, and then go straight up through 10. We'll have to see how it goes. It's in a good zone on the weekly anyway. Has a bit of work to do, I'd say. All right, yep, we'll take a look at that. What else? Oz, Gore. Look at the weekly there. It's looking quite good. So, yeah, still think there's some good things happening with gold. We could be something that's going to throw up some really nice opportunities soon. All right. I'm just trying to think if there's two. Feel free to chuck up what we'll do now. Just anything you want to take a look at. I'll just take a look at RRL then. Is it Regis? For you there, Don. And then just see what it looks like. And then anything else you want to look at, guys, just whack it in the chat and we'll go through it. I've got a couple here I just want to have a quick look at. Oh, yep. Now we'll look at that as well. While we're on the topic, we might as well just look at that. We'll look at this one first. So I'm getting sidetracked. What was it? RRL. Alright, so again, the first thing to do is just get my bearings on. Have we spoken about this one before? So it looks it's a bit clearer on that monthly. It's worked its way off a serious support somewhere around, was it 40 cents thereabouts? Or 8. Very low either way. It's pushed up to say, and this isn't a monthly chart, just remember, and it's worked its way back down, but held potentially another higher low at about $1. And it's worked its way off $1, but got a lower high in place. So, and that's these two levels here. We pushed up, pulled back, we're holding that high low. Once we take out this little high here at just above 2, we worked our way up to 425. Yeah, I'm a bit. Alright, let me just mark up what I'm seeing here. So you can see we pushed up, which is, I like that. Had a good strong move up, had a good pullback to 225. We worked our way off there. There's a couple of things I do like and a couple of things I don't like. So I'll just draw it up for you. There, Don. So we've got that high up here. That's what we're going to have to contend with in the, probably got a little support zone. We fell short of that, hitting that support. That was a good little level. That led to that, nice strong leg up there. So we contracted nearly all of that, which I'm not a massive fan when I see that. You can see the price action prior to that, the little pullbacks led to. So these are not deep retracements. Back to the MAs, really that it was, Davin call it the reversion to the mean, holding a higher low and then working our way back off there. We contracted a little bit here, a little bit stronger, just below 230. The MAs come right in and pretty much, consolidate around here, that double bottom, that retest, and then we worked our way back off there, back to the means, back to the averages, popping back up, holding high lows. So that was good price action. And then we got a deeper, as soon as you get this sort of moves through like here, you expect a bit of, even if it's going to be positive, you expect a bit more work to be done, and especially off a lower high like we see there. So when you see that that lower high build, generally, like we say, it means you're going to target the next high. Well, you're going to at least target the high low, probably a 2-leg move down. So you're going to get 1 and then 2. Just bear with me 1 second, guys. Just got a phone call through. Just be a 1 tick, guys. Yep. So I just have to quickly forward something on. Alrighty, now let's go back to here. Alright, that's done. Sorry about that, guys. Now, yeah, like I said there, so when you get this type of price action, when you get that little pop through, the averages, it's a deeper correction, especially off a lower high. If we hadn't had a lower high, it's a bit different, potentially. But just keep an eye for that. When you see that type of price action, you may just have to, you just want to see that, you got 1, 2 legs down, then you just want to see the higher lows hold. Potentially before you start to look for an entry, especially off that 1 up and then 2, that secondary move lower. It just needs to do a bit more work, and that's what it did just here. And then we had that sort of push down through here. You built that lower high, so obviously your next target is gap down there. You've had that 1 move, pretty much consolidation around here. We've had 2, but then it's got a bit more negative, and that's the only thing I don't like as such. And it's worked its way all the way back down to this little level at, say, 230. We've reacted off that level, pushed back down. But the only thing I don't like so much for a long position is just this, wash out of those highs. You got some. So what's happened? It's built that little lower high. So anyone that's looking at it through here, through that zone there, potentially for buying it, where they bought it in here, okay, that's great. And then you've got some people that just bought it with a break through that high, expecting it to push up to 430. I don't know where they would have their risk. They potentially got their risk down through here. So it may have a bit of fuel for a move down. And this is the only thing, it could look like a short, especially after that little washout. If this holds as a lower high and we start to get a push through 310, that's going to, I think, just going to go straight through 3, and we might get a deeper correction. We may get a push all the way back down to 230. In saying that, so that has the potential makings for a bit of a good correction, especially after this big move lower, all the way back down to support at 230. Yeah, I didn't actually type too much there, Dave. Sounds good, doesn't it? I've got something I press play on and I finger type it 1, 2 at a time. He's cheeky anyway. So yeah, does that make sense to you there, Don? Just what potentially to look at? I mean, I'm not saying this is a short just yet. This could just as easy consolidate through here and then pop up through 340. But I think 340 is the key for me, because then what you'll see in there is that it's still holding those higher lows. All right, and the key for it's only off this price action. If I was going to want to buy it right now, I would prefer just to see a bit of price action play out. So that's that. Just trying to see. That's that level there. It popped up. We've pulled back, and we're just here at the moment. So I'm just saying that's through there, and we've got a major support zone. That other one through there. What I'd prefer to see, probably a bit of contraction under there maybe, and then, we can get some sort of price action like that, because that means it's just buyers are starting to step in. There's more evidence of buyers stepping into the market there. Even just below 340, you can potentially get a nice little entry through there. It just means too that you know exactly where your risk is going to be. Only because I think that has the potential to roll over. Does that make sense? Hope I'm not putting a bit of a negative, a dampener on that, but yeah, I would just like to see that type of price action before, a bit more evidence, because you can easily do, if we just take this back again, we could easily go from here and you might think if we buy it here and then bang, we just do that. We hold below that 340 and then you've got your entry short, essentially front running, $3.10, $3 for a nice strong move down to potentially 230. So that could easily play out. That's why I'd like to see, that move up, pull back, some buyers stepping in, and then buy it once you've got confirmation that a high low is holding, and potentially just front run this, maybe a break of 340, or even if you get that, take it one step further, that push up through 340, and then build that higher low to buy into. So you can just see, if you can understand the differences, the minor differences of what I'm talking about, and that comes down to your entries, just weigh what you want to see and the evidence that's building in your favour if you're looking for a long, because like I said, this has the potential to go short. It also has the potential to start popping up and buyers starting to step in. You can see the MAs are really come in, and it's just really oscillating either side of the MAs. It's getting a bit tighter at the moment, so it's coming to where we may see some action play out, and we expect to see some action soon. But which way, for me, it's not as clear cut just at the moment. And on that weekly, that looks like a nice little lower high on a weekly chart anyway, and that could easily roll over through 3. So yeah, just keep an eye on that one. Well, I would anyway. GOLD. Yeah, look at that GOLD. For anyone that's a bit of a gold bug, even if we have to take it a step back on them, I know this is a monthly chart, but just take a look at this monthly, actually. Let me get those. That's a bit better. In the way that charts go, as far as they go, I do think that looks good. So you can see that that move up there. You can see it's holding. It's just been beautiful. It is a monthly, obviously. Got away from the MAs, and you get that reversion back to the mean, coming back to the averages, but still holding above the averages. I think it's the 20. Yep, the 28 EMA. Sorry. Pushed up off that, pulled back to the MA. It started accelerating a bit harder, but it just kept holding. Holding those high lows, it just was beautiful. Now, that's beautiful price action, but obviously the further you go, the more likely it gets it's going to come, and you're going to get that lower high sooner or later build. We got that little lower high. As soon as we got a breakthrough there, that was confirmed. And then you expect a more, what we call a complex correction. This is a correction, but it's not complex. It's just straight back, hold a high low. Some nice little entries through here. Again, some nice entries through here on gold. If you can find something looking nice. Beautiful setups. You get this lower high, you go, okay, what's happening here? We should have, if we're going to do the same thing as we did back then, we should have lifted up, off here somewhere, held another high low somewhere in here, but we didn't. We went straight through that 15,000 thereabouts. This support zone through here, went straight through there. So you expect a complex correction where you got some lower highs, some high lows, and buyers just starting to match off, and then sooner or later, either the buyers start winning out, or the sellers start winning out, or they continue to win out, and we get another strong leg lower. But what we didn't, we got that held up around that 13 mark, and then we got this little push higher, leg up, pull back. More of a major pullback. So we're all within these major highs at around 18. So it's starting to look like this, potentially, on a longer term scale. So guess what I'm saying on GOLD? On a monthly, this looks, I really like it. That's a major high low, another potential high low. That's only confirmed when we get through that 17, well, basically up to 1800. And if we get up to 1800, that's going to blast through there. But this GOLD has got some great price structure to it. All right, this is on the monthly. So if we just drill it down, let's go to what we're seeing on the weekly. So on the weekly here, we're contending with this major high at 17,750. Just trying to see if anything else stands out. And that's that big, nice curving base, holding some, major high lows at 14, then potentially up at 1450, 14,500, 14,750. But that's edging its way higher. Let's just see what it says on the daily. That daily's starting to look good too, 16,300. So it's just supporting that view. So that leg up from, say, December last year, we got a big move down in gold. But on the longer term scale, it's all in with that longer term trend higher on the monthly, even the weekly. That longer term move higher is still holding. It's just more of a complex, like we said, a complex correction off the highs. Where were the highs again? Right up around 18. So it's about here. So that's the 18 level right up here. We've had that complex correction, but we're starting to come out the other side, which is always good. You're not trying to buy it when it's making major lower highs. If we just go back to that weekly, we're not trying to buy it in here where we don't know what's going to happen, because we've got it's up just when we got this after this leg up here. All right, let me draw it rather than just babble on. Done it again. And that's what we're talking about. You got that complex correction lower. It's starting to hold a nice little base through, this zone in here. This is the leg that we like. Okay, once we see that to me, it's starting to break up out of consolidation or contraction lower, and then we just start looking for a high low. So it was in here. So really, this price action, what we've seen last, I guess, since 2016, is looking great. What's your thoughts on it, John, anyway? If we go back to the daily, so we got the weekly, I think, on our side. The daily's looking good. Actually, the daily is looking good. What do we got in the daily there? Yeah, see that too. So that's a bit of, we've got a low down here, high low up here, high lows through here, potentially a little high low in here. Get a phone call through in a minute. And we're getting that push up through 16,300. So that's looking good, and you can see that's moving out of that contraction lower from the weekly. It's holding some higher lows. This is another higher low potentially around that 15.7. So if we get up through 16,300, yeah, it's looking good. I think the next stops will be sort of up towards, 16.8, then right up towards that 17.7. That's a touch below the major 1800 zone. So that could easily just kick up and on. So it's going the right direction. Bought last week. Awesome. No, it looks good, doesn't it? I don't know what everyone else's thoughts are on gold and whether they're looking at it, but there is some good signs that things are coming out. Yeah, a lot of these stocks are coming out the other end. They've contracted lower. Like I said, it's complex. You get those little... Okay, if we just go back down to... We might have to go down to the monthly chart. But if you can... Actually... We call these, this is more of just a continuation trade you're looking for your setup, and on she goes, a bit of a pullback. So these types of things, I think it is the Dow theory, based on the Dow theory, high highs, high lows, and that's within a trend. Now, when the trend gets to the end of it, you get that major lower high, which we got here, and then we go into a complex correction. So it's not just a few days of correction or a few weeks, few months, whatever time frame you're looking on. It's got to be more complex, so it takes a fair bit more time. Then you have to let that play out, and you have to start waiting for those higher lows, and that's what we got here on the monthly anyway. And it's the same. This type of price structure applies to daily, weekly, whatever you want. It's a similar type of price action. And then we've got something potentially to base the next leg up. We could have a leg from 6,000 up to 17, for instance. That's 11,000, but if you're taking that somewhere around 13, say that takes you to 24,000. So you can see where the price is. If that's what is going to play out longer term, there could be quite a bit in this move. Who knows? That's a bit presumptuous, I guess. But that's the way, that's the way you got to view it. And then we could get that next leg up once we break up through those highs. It'll be confirmed through 1800, and we're not just going to get a major double top and then roll over from there. If we get up through 1800, then you've got to look at it this type of style where you just get those little pullbacks, holding the MAs higher, pull back to the MA, then go. It's just a continuation type of trade. All right, does that make sense? Does anyone agree with what I'm saying there? Anything else you want to look at too? I'm just going to see where we are. Down 30 at the moment, so OGC, we'll see if that can get on with it a bit. I like that. I do like that, and I think it's going to happen. Yeah, anything else, guys? Any other little stocks you want to take a look at? Oh, I've still got some coffee left. I'll just sort of pop this one up because I hate it. This is SAS, old sassy boy. We've done well in the past, but we got, because of that capital raising, there was at 19. We put our stop a cent below that, got tagged, bang, at 18 on the dot, and now we've gone back up to where we got in eventually. I reckon it was around 24 or thereabouts, so we're not far off the entry price. This may have a bit more contraction to do, but that potentially looks to me like it's going to hold those higher lows. But that does make me cry, I won't lie. It makes sense if gold stocks are losing a... Yeah, no, that's true. And Nathan, I'd assume that obviously it's a bit different to looking at physical stocks. You get the what is it called? The Aussie dollar. So in terms of Australian dollars, our companies over here, you've got to take that into account too, and that always catches me off guard. You think they're going to go well, but in terms of Aussie dollars, it's not that much of a change. So you sort of sit there buying it, gold's going up, and some of these companies don't go up because of the Aussie dollar or the exchange rate. But yeah, generally speaking, yeah, they could really get on with it. So that's I don't know why I drew that up. I just like that type of stuff. It's just a bit of a habit, just drawing it across the highs. You're getting used to marking up the nice little entry zones where you could do, which is through there. So we got onto this quite nicely, got that little leg up, that acceleration higher, and then we've got that reaction off the highs around 29. We didn't take all of that, which is a shame, and we got knocked out of that somewhere, can't remember, but did well. You can see that market's just coming in on itself, so we've got the high lows, it's contracting in lower highs as well, so because it's still such a wide range, what was it, between about 19 and 24? I mean, it's only really 5 cents, but it could still oscillate in between there, hold the high lows, and then really just looking for that entry setup. So if we can get, that's the last green move up, if we can get a bit of a, I ideally like to see falling short, and then some minor moves for that inside continuation, which I've mentioned in the past, that type of price action, you can get a bust up, and then it'll take out the, sometimes you don't get that entry, it's just below that, I guess, resistance line across the highs, or the lower highs, sorry. You can get it within there, or sometimes you can just get a push up and you get the opposite, if that makes sense. And that's generally what we look for, that type of structure. You want to see it punch out of contraction and then hold a higher low and then go. I ideally like to see that, but this could easily fall short here, hold a higher low, and then just bang, accelerate and just catch a few people off their guard. But either way, SAS is doing some great things. I think they just come out with positive announcement after positive announcement, just done their capital raising. Any selling that's going to happen is probably coming out of the market now. You can see these last few days high, and that was some good news there, which triggered a bit of buying through, was it 20.5? But yeah, just point that out that we're not in that anymore, and it's a shame because it does look good. I think SAS is going to do some good things. AKP. Look good on daily, but weekly not so good, and volumes low. Let's take a look. Yeah, you can see that volume was holding. It's a fair bit higher when it was this move up here, and the volume's come back out. But daily chart doesn't look that bad at all. It's just a bit of a tough one with this gap because there's no price action with that gap down. What happened there, Kay? Do you know? It was end of last year. It's obviously gapped down. I don't know for you. Let's just see. 10-16 integration stage updates. It's not got some good news by the looks of it. A bit of the digital completed. The overall performance did not reach certain critical objectives. Okay, so just a bit of a. Okay, so a bit of a thorn on their side there. It looks like something's happened. So there's some bad news that sent it down, but for this, it looks good. You know, like you said, the daily doesn't look bad at all. It's very low volume at the moment, so it's going to be a tough one for a few people to trade. And probably out of their rings, but it looks like it could have some good movement. So there's obviously a few things we look at. Just going to market up. You can see that the market's okay, holding some lower highs. If you just take it across the lows, okay, we look like it's definitely coming out of that contraction. Potentially, we've just gone all the way back down to was it $10? Not really a breakout zone at all. It's just where there's a bit of action through there previously, and then we busted up out of there. Yeah, we've gone all the way back down, and we've reacted off there. There's no reason why this can't roll over again. Okay, so what are we looking for if we think it's going to go higher? Well, it's pretty clear. Break up through that, say 17. Now, if we get that type of price action, let's just mark it up in a different colour. I'll use pink. So for that push up, pull back, spend a bit of time just up here. What we've done is just really come back down to here. So you want to see it, punch out, and I think you can either. It could be a nice little entry just through that breakout there, or just see if we can get a little pullback. And really doing that is just minimising your risk. So you just got to assess it as you go to see if you're happy with that risk. If it does just punch straight out, and again, then you're just going to risk whether it could be a bit of a washout. And then from here, we just come all the way back down again. But yeah, that price action there definitely looks like it's coming out of that contraction lower. May need a bit of more work to do, but we'll just have to see how it goes. Doesn't look too bad either. Just checking to see if it... See, this price action I don't mind. Just drill down on that last... See the way it's accelerating? It did that previously when it was running. Really sort of shallow pullback, and then you get these nice green candles. I don't know if you can see that, or can you? Yep. Shallow pullback here. Some good solid green candles, really accelerates into the high. This one not so much. And then the dynamics change a bit, it pops back up and you get sold off. So people are just profit taking and getting sold down. We're just starting to get that a bit again, and little acceleration through these little, let's say $14. That green candle there especially, and then it spent a lot of time just edging its way lower, just popping through 14 and then started holding again. You get that reaction off the 13.50, 14 reaction off there again, but only got so far as those highs, the previous highs. And again, you can see that type of price action, it's really struggling to the downside. So if that could potentially just start to get this type of price action, just start getting a couple of solid green days and really start to accelerate through the highs. If you get that, that's why it could be worth just as a little entry, just popping up through 16.50 thereabouts. If you can accelerate up through there, nice green candle. Just see what happens in the following few days. But just be careful. It's in a good. You put that in context of what the stochastics are doing. This is a nice strong move up, only up to the highs, so it's a bit overbought, only up at the highs, edging its way lower, so the stochastics coming down, the selling's coming in, but it's getting held up above this low at 13, so it's a nice sign. Nice sign. All right, anything else there, guys? Otherwise, we're getting on calling it a day now anyway. So if there's nothing else, I'll just wait a few minutes just while everything catches up. What are we doing? I've got one stock. They tend to come out with good news and it gets sold off, but it doesn't do anything into the news announcement, so it's kind of funny. Very lightly, it's very small stock, small position. But what else we got here? Nothing else is. Oh, look at that one. Gets a bit of volatility into that one, Sonic Healthcare, but we'll see how that goes. All right, if there's nothing else, guys, we'll call it a day there. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll be back in on Thursday at the same time, 12:30. We'll just get organised for that. If there's anything, like I said, if there's anything at all that you want to discuss, even if it's some currencies, we'll take a look at some currencies on Thursday potentially. Just whack into the chat. Or if there's some actually trades that you've done, I know Paul does send in quite a bit, and it's really good, and he's really trying to improve his technical analysis and really try to learn that area of his game. Feel free to send it in, even if it's a chart. Send it into support@tradesetup.com.au, and if you don't mind, we'll just chuck it up on the screen and discuss it. So anyway, thanks again, guys, for joining us, and we'll speak to you on Thursday. And just don't forget, if you do like what you see, just leave us a like if you can at the end of the video. Cheers, guys. Bye.